What's up, guys? We're back with our second video for the Dern versus Ribas 2 card. UFC's finally back this weekend after, what, 3-4 week layoff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed your Christmas, had a happy new year. As you can see, obviously we have new slides, we have slideshows we're doing and stuff like that. So we're taking this year serious, as last year I was kind of getting started into YouTube. I didn't know how to do as much. So now that I got everything figured out over these last like 3 weeks, we should have a lot better content for you, a lot better graphics, and everything should just look and run a lot more smoothly. Also, we're going to try to have a set schedule. I'm in real estate now, so it's a little difficult to say like a set schedule, but I'm going to try to have all these videos released Sunday through Tuesday, somewhere around there, just on the fact that my schedule varies and it's hard to always get videos out on the weekend because agents are really busy on the weekends. And I should have everything up by the latest Tuesday. Like, this video should go up Tuesday. Yeah, that's that. We'll go through some of our slides. So as you can see, we got the Patreon all set up right here. Our Patreon, as you can see, you can just search up Austin Reiser Patreon, and then it'll pop up on Safari or Google, whatever you guys use. Payment plans, NBA is $3.99 a month, NFL is $1.99 a month, UFC is $1.99 a month, and for all the bets, it's $6.99 a month. I didn't get that up there. I completely forgot it. Oh well. You can see the results too. They speak for themselves. NBA, we're up 71 units. NFL, 342 units on the year, which is ridiculous. And then MMA, 51.5 units. It is, I do want to say though, for MMA, my unit size is $100. NFL and NBA is $10. So you guys can figure out the math. I'm not going to put that on YouTube just for tax purposes and all that stuff. But yeah, that's that. You could see the members, like this person hit a plus 1,000 Bo Nichols decision. They're hyped, right? This dude won 3,200. Nay Unique's actually, that's my girlfriend, but this was her first time ever playing betting or whatever. This was a while ago, and she hit for 740, I think she hit for that weekend, or 780. And then my boy Logan, who also won 2 giveaways during our giveaway that we did, he turned $10 into $250. It's crazy because I was scrolling through the little like highlights I have on my Instagram, and you could see the day before he turned $10 into 170, I think it was, or 150, something like that. So he's been feasting with our NBA picks all year. NBA is back up tomorrow, and yeah, hopefully we keep going and continue this run. You guys can also see we keep track of everything, so if you guys think I'm lying or whatever, I'm not. Everything's on the Patreon. Everything on the Patreon, you can add up and do yourself. It's all going to equal the same numbers that we have on the screen here. I don't know why I keep pointing to my laptop. It's just because it's right here. So if you see me pointing and doing weird shit, that's why. But yeah, we have all those events. See all these. So you guys could pause, do whatever you guys want. Yeah, we have a bunch of these. And then this little slide right here, it's just every UFC and MMA or whatever, just fighting organization club, just broken down into piece by piece. So pay-per-views, PFL, Bellator, we excelled on those. So obviously we're going to start betting more for pay-per-views, PFL, and Bellator. Because, I mean, that's pretty good track record. If I was betting $1,500 every like double up or whatever, instead of just the $300 I usually spend, I mean, you're looking at $20,000 just on pay-per-views, right? You're looking at $1,500 on PFL. Well, PFL is different actually because we didn't even start betting like that. So, I mean, realistically, you're looking at $20K for pay-per-views. You're looking at 10+ thousand for PFL. You're looking at, I don't know, 3,000 maybe for Bellator. And then, yeah, boxing, all the other stuff we're going to leave. So what this shows me basically, pay-per-views, PFL, Bellator, bet heavier, Apex, city, and country events. Don't bet China, I don't have to do that. But for the Apex and city events, I definitely need to bet decent size amounts, like 300 to 500 each event. Just not as much as the pay-per-views and PFL, obviously. But I need to be consistent with the price range, like 500 every event. Because there's no way I go 4-1 on this shit and I don't profit. It's crazy. It's because the one city event I did lose, I loaded up too much money and I lost really bad on that. So that's why. But anyways, you can see our profit for the year. It's 5K. So we did solid, you know what I mean? It was a good year. It was our first year. It was our rookie year. Going into our sophomore year, and hopefully we have that MVP year. My goal is capper of the year. I believe we could do that. My goal is also $30,000 this year, $20,000 to $30,000. And I believe we could soar through that, especially with the pay-per-views being so successful. If we could do that same thing this year, we're going to just blow through all those goals. So we'll see. Hopefully 2025 is a good year, and hopefully we could go out on top retiring or something like that. That'd be very nice from this. But our first fight of the night, we have Victoria Dudakova taking on Fatima Kline. And since I already did a breakdown for this whole card or whatever, pretty much, these fights that I'm going to break down again, I'm going to skim through. I'm going to go by really fast. And for the fights, there's 2 fights that have replacements. I'll break it down a little bit more because I haven't broke those fights down yet, obviously. So Victoria Dudakova, 8-1. Fatima Kline, 6-1. She's 0-1 in the UFC, and Dudakova's 2-1 in the UFC. And you could see the odds, -800 for Fatima Kline. She's a really good grappler, right? She's a really good grappler. Dudakova, she wrestles. She has decent striking. Obviously, we seen her lose to Sam Hughes in her last fight. It was really just because the pace and the pressure kind of just wore her out, to be honest. And then Hughes was able to mix in the grappling a little bit. Oh, wait, I think... Now I'm blanking on this. I don't know why I'm second-guessing myself. But Hughes' pace and pressure was too much. Dudakova was wrestling. I want to say Sam Hughes took her down a few times, too. Yeah, I don't get this one. Fatima Kline should not be -800. She might win the fight, yes. With her style is kind of like that come forward style. So stylistically, Fatima Kline should win the fight. -800, I don't like it. What I do like here is Victoria Dudakova +3.5. Which means when all 3 judges score the bout, right? Out of all 3 judges, they scored 9 total rounds. Out of those 9 total rounds, Victoria Dudakova has to win 3 rounds. Whether it's on one judge's scorecard, she wins all 3, or she wins 1 across the board, whatever. It's just when you score those 9 rounds, 3 of those rounds have to go to Victoria Dudakova. So I hope you guys understand it more. I could always break that down into more detail in the comment section for you guys. So just let me know if you're confused with that. For the next fight, we have Austin Bashi taking on Christian Rodriguez. Austin Bashi, 13-0, -225 favorite, making his debut, versus Christian Rodriguez, 11-2, 4-2 in the UFC, +185, and he's known as a prospect killer. Obviously, Rodriguez has big wins over Cameron Simon. You got Raul Rosas Jr. and Isaac Dulgarian, which I think Rodriguez lost. I think he was kind of gifted that decision, to be honest. But Bashi's a crazy grappler. He's going to come forward relentlessly, just shoot, 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 shoot. Christian Rodriguez, he's not going to be able to stop the takedowns, to be honest. I think Bashi has better cardio than what Raul Rosas Jr. had. I think it was honestly like an adrenaline dump for Rosas more than anything. Bashi, it could be the same thing, but I don't think so because it is in the Apex. There's not going to be a lot of fans. So I'm going to say Bashi wins the first 2 rounds, and then we're going to see what happens. If he doesn't submit Rodriguez, then we're going to see what happens in that 3rd round with Bashi. Is his cardio that good? Can he really go 15 minutes? We'll see in this fight. I'm taking Austin Bashi, but it's not the biggest confidence level. I have red all over my neck. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's not the most confident pick in the world, to be honest, just because it's his debut. But if Bashi's as good as I believe he is, I think he dominates Christian Rodriguez here and takes the win. Next, we have Nurullo Aliev taking on Joe Solecki, who is stepping in on short notice for Yanal Ashmos. So this is a really good fight. I'll break this one down actually pretty quick, even though it is a new fight. You got Nurullo Aliev, right? Undefeated, 9-0. No odds out for this fight, obviously, but he's mini Khabib. That's how he looks, and that's how he fights. He fights like the early stages of Khabib, when Khabib first entered the UFC. He's just a nasty wrestler. He doesn't, striking's whatever, he doesn't really get touched much, but he's going to shoot relentlessly, and he's a really good wrestler. Taking on Joe Solecki, just a grappler, really. He doesn't really have striking. Doesn't have the best wrestling. He's mainly just pure grappling, right? Like, he can get people down, don't get me wrong. Like, his wrestling's decent. It's not elite, though, is what I'm saying. And his takedown defense is trash, and we've seen that in his last fight versus Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson took him down. Obviously, if you guys don't know, elite wrestler. He's in my UFC 311 video. I love Grant Dawson in 2 weeks for the pay-per-view. But yeah, he took him down and just held Joe Solecki there the whole fight. That's what's going to happen here. Nurullo Aliev, as long as he doesn't get caught in like crazy submission, which I don't believe he will. I think he's too good of a wrestler and grappler for that. I think he takes Joe Solecki down and picks up a decision one here. For the next fight, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Carlston Harris. You have Ponzi, who's 30-8, -120 favorite with an 11-7 UFC record. Obviously a journeyman. Carlston Harris, 19-6, +100 dog, 4-2 in the UFC. So this fight, really, you got Ponzi. He's a really good striker, right? But he's on the older side. He's 38 years old now. His takedown defense isn't the best, and that's probably where Carlston Harris can exploit Santiago Ponzinibbio's weakness. And Carlston Harris, he's a well-rounded fighter. He could strike a little bit. He could wrestle a little bit. He could grapple a little bit. And you know what? I don't love Carlston Harris. I like Carlston Harris to win this fight with low confidence, obviously. But I just think his aggressiveness is going to be too much for Ponzi to handle. And he's going to be able to cause chaos in there, get the takedowns, win the minutes, win the fight, right? So that's what I have here in this one. Jose Johnson taking on Felipe Bunes. Jose Johnson's long as shit, and this is flyweight. He's 6 feet tall at flyweight. 125 pounds, that makes no sense. That shit's crazy. Yeah, he's a good Muay Thai striker. Jose Johnson, takedown defense is trash. And we've seen that in the Asu Almabaya fight. It was really exposed. Jose Johnson, he's 16-9, -220 favorite, 1-2 in the UFC. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the best wins. He's also lost to decent people. If you could get him down, you're gonna win. That's pretty much how it is here. Felipe Bunes, 13-7, +180 dog, 0-1 in the UFC. Obviously, 0-1 in the UFC, and you're 35 years old. Not the best look at all. He's gonna be the shorter fighter here. Striking is not very good, and that's where Jose Johnson can really exploit this matchup. He does shoot takedowns, though. Felipe Bunes does shoot takedowns. He does not have the best takedowns, though, and that could be an issue. I am undecided on who I'm going with here, to be honest, still. I don't know who I'm going with. Probably go with, I don't know, man. Felipe Bunes, I guess. I don't know, to be honest. I'm so lost here. I don't really have an official pick. Obviously, in my Patreon, Bunes is my least. I picked Bunes, but he's my least confident on the scale, so I'm not touching this fight, if you guys are wondering. Now we got Jacobe Smith stepping in on short notice, taking on Preston Parsons. This fight's going to be a banger. I love Jacobe Smith from the Contender Series. Kid's a nasty wrestler. He has nasty speed and nasty power on the feet. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see how good he is. Preston Parsons, jiu-jitsu guy. He's a grappler. Doesn't have striking, really. Doesn't have the best wrestling, but he has good jiu-jitsu, right? That is what it is. Jacobe Smith's going to shoot takedowns. He's going to get Parsons down. And I think he's going to find a finish eventually, either whether it's on the feet or on the ground. I think he's going to find the knockout finish. And I'm pretty confident in him, to be honest. Even though this is short notice, you could worry about his cardio. I would say you could worry about his cardio. And you could worry it's a debut. But Jacobe Smith's pretty damn good. So I don't see him losing to someone like Preston Parsons. Parsons is not the best fighter, like, at all. So yeah, give me Jacobe Smith here by finish. I'm pretty confident in him. I wouldn't throw him in the safety parlay just because he's taking it on short notice and it's his debut fight. I don't want any debut guys in my safety parlays, so Jacobe Smith, probably throw him in a little parlay or something, but medium confidence for sure. Now, Punahele Soriano taking on Uros Medic. I watch Art of MMA a little bit. Every time I hear Punahele Soriano's name, I always think of Pillow Hands Punahele. Yeah, he's the dog in this one. 10-4 in the 10-4 record, 4-4 in the UFC, 50-50 fighter, +175. Uros Medic, -210, 10-2 in the UFC, and he's 4-2. 10-2 record and 4-2 in the UFC. So you got Medic, he's a striker. Soriano, he's a wrestler, right? Doesn't really use his wrestling, which could be a big problem because you don't want to stand with someone like Uros Medic. I'm going to tell you how this fight goes. Medic, way better striker. If this fight's on the feet, Medic is dominating. Soriano, if he wrestles, that's his path to victory because Medic does not have the best takedown defense, although he does have a decent get-up game. I think that's the problem here. I think Soriano, if he does wrestle, can get the takedowns. I don't think he's going to keep him down. I don't think he's a good enough wrestler. And on the feet, Medic is just going to be the better fighter. Give me Uros Medic here. Now we have Ernesta Kareckaite, however you say it. We're going to call her Carrot Cake. Take it on Nicolle, Caliari. So Ernesta Kareckaite is a high-volume striker. She's a good striker. She has solid takedown defense, right? Caliari, she's going to look to get the fight to the ground. That's just what she's going to do. She's going to look to get the fight to the ground, look for the submission. Obviously, Kareckaite, 0-1 in the UFC, -260, 5-1, right? 8-2 for Caliari. Debut in the UFC, she's +215. I'm taking Caliari in this one. I just think girls this young and this green, you should never be -260. And when the stylistic matchup just favors someone like Caliari because wrestler versus striker, that matchup usually favors the wrestler. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to go Caliari in this one, but I'm pretty unsure and not very confident. I will say Caliari being so small, that could also help her with her takedowns. Because she's so short, it's easier to get to Kareckaite's legs and use her leverage. But yeah, this fight could go either way. I'm not going to bet this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Kareckaite completely dominated. I really wouldn't. But yeah, I'm not going to bet this fight. The next fight, we have Marco Tulio taking on Ihor Potieria. So you got two strikers. Tulio, really good striker. Very aggressive, very wild. Can get hit. And that's a concern here when you're a -460 favorite. As you can see, it is his debut. He's 12-1 overall. But he's making his debut in the UFC. Potieria, absolute trash can. He's 20-7, +340 for a reason, 2-5 in the UFC. He's a really good striker, though. He really is. He's had some tough matchups and lost to some decent people, right? He's not very good, like, at all. He doesn't really have good takedown defense. So if Tulio did want to take him down, he probably could explore that option. Potieria could catch Tulio with something because he has good striking offense. His defense isn't very good, though, and he's just not a very good fighter as it is. I'm going to go Marco Tulio here. I would not bet him, though. -460. I want to say he's over -500 now, and he's making his debut. I just wouldn't do it personally. If you guys want to do it, that's on you, but that's not what I'm going to do. Now we have Cesar Almeida taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. So if you guys don't know, Cesar Almeida, nasty kickboxer. His only loss in the UFC, as you can see, he's 2-1, and only loss in his career, 6-1, is to Roman Kopylov, where that was a very close fight. He could have, if he just did a little bit more, he would have won that fight. He just couldn't defend a takedown, and that's the issue. If you don't know, he beat Alex Pereira in kickboxing one time. Pereira's obviously 2-1 over him, so it is what it is. He's not a better kickboxer than Pereira, but he did get the win over him one time. Abdul Razak Alhassan has a nasty judo background. He's really good at judo. He even coaches judo after his practices, but he refuses to use it. He would rather stand and strike. If he stands and strikes with Cesar Almeida, he must be the dumbest motherfucker I've ever met in my life. He's going to get fucking slept and flatlined if he stands with Cesar Almeida. Because Cesar Almeida is a good kickboxer. He's really good. Obviously, he's not Alex Pereira, but he's pretty damn good. And he has no takedown defense. He's clueless on the fucking ground. He's dumber than a bag of rocks when he's on the ground. So Abdul Razak Alhassan should just go for the fucking judo throws and get his ass down. That's the easiest path to victory, but another guy who's dumber than a bag of fucking rocks. So give me Cesar Almeida here. I'm pretty confident he wins because I'm very confident that Razak Alhassan is dumber than a bag of rocks. So Cesar Almeida's the pick here. Probably take him by knockout, to be honest. I love this fight personally. We got Magomed Gadzhiyassalov. He's -177, which is a really good value. I want to say he's -240 now. Taking on Bruno Lopez, making his debut from the Contender Series. If you guys don't know, Bruno Lopez, he got upset really bad by Brenson Ribeiro in the Contender Series like a year and a half ago. I remember I was training because I used to play basketball. So I was training over at the gym or whatever, a couple of my trainers. And then I wanted to watch the fight, obviously, so I had the fight on my phone while I was training. And I look, and this motherfucker got slept. But he came back, and he looked pretty good. Obviously, I don't think he's on the level of someone like Magomed Gadzhiev, but it is what it is. Bruno Lopez, he's a pretty good kickboxer, and he's one of those kickboxers that's very patient and takes his time until he can make his reads on his guys, on his opponent. And I mean, that can work, but I just don't think it's going to work with someone like Magomed Gadzhiev. Magomed Gadzhiev is a pretty well-rounded guy. He has good striking, and he has good wrestling. Takedown defense, however, not the best. But I don't see Bruno Lopez using that part of his game in this fight. I see Magomed Gadzhiev being good enough to hang on the feet where he won't get caught. And when it's time, his striking will be good enough to set up those takedowns. Although I don't know how good Bruno Lopez's takedown defense is because I've never really seen it. Well, obviously his last fight, he fought some freaking Georgian dude. I'm almost positive it was, yeah, he fought the Georgian dude. And I mean, to be honest, like, that guy was shooting takedowns from 2 miles out. My fucking baby sister could have seen those and stuffed those. So I can't really count that. Magomed Gadzhiev should get the takedowns, should get the control, should win the rounds, and should win the fight. He's one of my more higher confident picks on the card. It may even be my safety parlay. We'll see. But negative 210 or 240, whatever the hell he was, that's really good value. That's something worth looking at on this card. Especially when you see you got all these debut fighters, fucking crazy-ass odds. You just don't want to bet all your money on that, right? You'd rather bet something smaller, so if you lose it, you can still profit. You know what I mean? Thiago Moises taking on Trey Ogden. Moises, negative 172 and 7-6 in the UFC. You got Trey Ogden, plus 147 and 3-2 in the UFC. I'm going to go Moises here, man. He's a really good grappler. He has some decent, okay striking, right? Not the best takedown defense, which could be a problem here. He's coming off that loss to Ludovic Kline where he got absolutely dominated. And if you look at his record, just the UFC record, you type it up, whatever, he loses to good guys. He beats the bad guys, right? Guys that are ass. Trey Ogden, I don't think's the best. But he's just going to wrestle. That's really all he's going to do. He's just going to shoot, wrestle. And he could exploit that takedown defense. He really could. I just don't think Thiago Moises loses to a guy like Trey Ogden. I think he's just a little bit better of a fighter. And I could look stupid. But I'm going to go Thiago Moises here, as I think Ogden just isn't a good fighter. And Moises tends to beat guys like that. So I'm going Moises, but I'm not going to bet this fight. Chris Curtis, Roman Kopylov. This is a good fight. You got Chris Curtis, who is a really good boxer, trains with Sean Strickland. He's really good, has really good takedown defense. I mean, that won't be a factor here. And he's taking on Roman Kopylov, nasty kickboxer, the way better striker in this matchup. But I will say there's a big issue, his cardio. His cardio tends to fade, and that could be an issue. If Curtis pressures forward and brings some type of pressure to Kopylov, he should be tough enough to hang in that pocket, and his defense, striking defense should be good enough not to get hit with nothing super clean where it puts him out. But if he doesn't, he just sits back, he's a shell. Kopylov's going to piece him up. I don't see that happening, though. I think Kopylov beats the shit out of him in the first round. After that first round, you look for a live bet on Chris Curtis because Kopylov should gas out 7 minutes in. But I will say, Chris Curtis after the first round isn't a lock. It's going to be a close decision. It's going to be up that second round. Chris Curtis is going to win the third. Kopylov should win the first. Second round is going to be a toss-up, but I'm leaning Curtis because I think he'll be the fresher fighter at the end of the second round, and that's what the judges are going to pay attention to most is the end of the round. My bet here is going to be Chris Curtis plus 3.5. I just don't see him losing round 3, as I think Kopylov will be gassed, and I think Curtis is going to put the foot on the pedal. So plus 3.5 is going to be the play here. I'm waiting for those odds to drop. I didn't even call the odds out for you guys here. Kopylov's negative 250. Chris Curtis is plus 210. Both 5-3 in the UFC. Good fight, but I just think Kopylov gasses here. Now, we got the main event in Mackenzie Dern taking on Amanda Ribas, however you say it. You got Mackenzie Dern, man. She has all these UFC fans simping over her. All these guys just want to see her fucking shake her ass and grapple so she can bounce her ass. That's all you guys want to see, to be honest. She does have a nice ass, though, but that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about who's winning this fight so I can make some money. You got Mackenzie Dern, 9-5 in the UFC. She's plus 163. Taking on Amanda Ribas, 7-4 in the UFC, negative 190. So obviously these two fought before, and Amanda Ribas won the fight 29-28. Mackenzie Dern's a grappler. She's really just a pure grappler. Striking's not the best. Her wrestling's god-awful. But she has nasty submissions, right? And she will push forward sometimes. I just don't see. I think Ribas is going to win. She's one of my most confident picks on the card. She's a decent striker, solid striker. She also could take people down, right? So obviously she has decent wrestling and she has decent striking and she has good takedown defense. Dern's not going to get the takedowns. This fight's going to be 5 rounds standing on the feet. Give me Amanda Ribas here. I think she picks up a decision win as Mackenzie Dern's tough as hell. You should see some of these fights if you guys don't watch. Go back and watch some of her other fights that she's lost where she's just taken an absolute fucking beating. She's tougher than a $5 steak. She's a fucking punching bag, but she eats those shots and she comes forward looking for her submissions. She's very entertaining and very fun to watch. But I love Mackenzie. I just can't go Mackenzie Dern in this one. I have to go Amanda Ribas. I just think she's the better fighter. She's one of the most confident picks on the card. She might even be in my safety parlay, but we'll see what we do. Stay tuned to the Patreon. That's all I have for the breakdown of like all the cards. Obviously, I have a little outro. So here's my Patreon. Once again, just search up Austin Rise with Patreon and it should pop up. Payment plans, NBA's $3.99 a month, NFL's $1.99 a month, UFC's $1.99 a month. The results, they speak for themselves. NBA, we're up 71 units. NFL, 342 units is crazy. And then you got MMA, 51.5 units. Obviously, NBA and NFL are $10 unit sizes that we've been using. We're definitely up in NFL for sure next year. MMA, we're at 51.5 units, but we use $100 unit sizes. So you guys could just do the math for yourself. Obviously, at the bottom, we have all the members who've cashed. This isn't even close to all the members we have or all the little screenshots we have. These are just some of them. Right here, this dude, plus 1,000 on Bo Nichols' decision, which everyone thought I was stupid for. He also got Jake Paul in round 2 to start, which a lot of people thought was risky. Obviously, it wasn't. Declan cashed for $3,200 not too long ago. He's cashing all the time. You got Nay Unique, who's actually my girlfriend. Her first time ever doing anything, ever betting, was with me, obviously. Her first ever bet. She turned 20 into 500 or 7, whatever it was, 600, because these two were free. The other 20 was obviously into 500. And then her Bovada, so she cashed over $780, $730, somewhere around there. And then obviously the boy Logan, one of the best members we have currently. He won 2 days of the giveaway. As you could see, he turned 10 into 250 off NBA. The day before, he turned $10 into like 170 or something like that. He's been cashing all year with us, NFL and NBA. I just love how much he trusts us and how confident he is in our picks to place these 5 legs. Like, just fucking places them, and he gets so hyped. So, obviously, we've been cashing on Saboner a lot. He knows what I'm talking about with that, but yeah, it's been a good run for the Patreon. NBA should be back up tomorrow, and fuck, I hope we continue this fucking roller on. This is obviously each little, like, event broken down. So, like, the pay-per-views, the PFL, Bellator, Apex events, city events, country events, all that, contender series. Obviously, what we see here, I explained it in the beginning, but pay-per-views, PFL, Bellator, we're going to bet heavy. Over $1,000 at least for the safety parlay. Everyone, right? Probably $1,500, $1,200, somewhere around there. Apex events, city events, we need to bet. We could bet $300, right? For a safety parlay. But what we have to do is we have to bet very evenly. So 300, 300, 300, 300. Because there's no way you're 7-3, 4-1, and you're fucking negative in profit, right? That only happens because $100 here, $200 here, $300 there. You cash all of them. Oh, $700 on this one, but you lose it all. And then it's like, oh, well, you fucking went negative for the city events, right? So that won't happen again. We learned. We're still up 5K on the year, so we did our thing. It's only our rookie year. We're going into our sophomore year, and I guarantee we're going to make at least $10,000 just off MMA. I'm hoping we make 20 to 30K plus off just all the sports in general. That's the goal. And if we can, man, I'm hoping we can retire by the end of 2025. And yeah, that's it for the video, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Happy New Year's. Our next video should be our most confident picks or something like that. We should have that released maybe Thursday, I would say. Possibly Friday, right before the event, just to get your guys' heads like more confident going into the event, stuff like that. You guys can see who I like. But yeah, that's it for the video. Appreciate you guys watching, and Happy New Year.